Good evening, Little Masters, and welcome to episode 237 of the Prancing Pony podcast, where Sam goes on one of those cooking challenge shows, is given 2 rabbits, 2 hours, and 1 grumpy assistant.
Oh, I love those shows.
Yeah.
I still think he should have just grilled the rabbits, though. Just mix up a little dry rub or something.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Maybe some hunks of wood for some smoke in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
The judges would have loved it. I certainly would have, too.
Well, I mean, depends on how he plated it, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Presentation is a big part of it. But, folks, go ahead and pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Sean Marchese, the Lord of the Mark, and I'm here with the man of the West, who I'm guessing has never made rabbit stew in the wild, Alan Sisto.
You guessed correctly, Sean. I've also never made it in the non-wild for that.
No, me either, actually.
Really? I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, you're from Louisiana.
I mean, I've eaten lots of rabbit, but I've never cooked it.
Okay. Well, I will leave cooking rabbit to the professionals like Sam. And folks, today we are going to spend time with Sam as he looks to bring a little taste of the Shire to Ithilien in the second part of Herbs and Stewed Rabbit.
That's right, and it's going to be a good one. And for those of you joining us for the first time, well, welcome. Here at the Prancing Pony podcast, we are reading and talking our way through Tolkien's stories of Middle-earth, a few pages at a time.
We dive into the details, point out connections to other writings, talk about our favorite themes.
But we also make sure we have a lot of fun along the way. So we're glad you've joined us.
And we know you're going to be glad you joined as well. But before we get into the chapter, we've got a special guest joining us tonight.
That's right. Simonetta Carr is a writer, translator, and educator who's written numerous books aimed at introducing younger readers to important historical figures. She's the author of Michelangelo for Kids, Cleopatra and Ancient Egypt for Kids, and the award-winning Christian Biographies for Young Readers series, which is an 18-volume set focusing on figures such as St. Augustine of Hippo, Martin Luther, Lady Jane Grey, and many more.
And her newest book is J.R.R. Tolkien for Kids, a journey for young readers through the exciting life of Professor Tolkien, exploring the life experiences and subjects that inspired his stories. And it's available now from Chicago Review Press.
And in addition to giving an overview of Tolkien's life in a way that younger readers can understand, well, it offers kids a way to connect with Tolkien's life and stories in a really direct way, with 21 hands-on activities that kids can try at home with their families.
They're fun, too. I've been messing around with them with my son, and I know you have as well with your kids.
Yep.
It's an excellent resource for those of us looking to introduce the next generation of Tolkien readers to the man behind Middle-earth, not only as a writer, but also as a soldier, as a teacher, a father, and more. But now, let's hear from the author herself. Simonetta Carr, welcome to the Prancing Pony podcast, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's a huge honor.
Oh, it's really our pleasure.
It really is a pleasure to have you on, and we'll just go ahead and jump right in and get to know you. And Simonetta, if you've heard the podcast before, you may know that anytime we have a guest on, well, we ask everyone who comes through our door this question, and that is, when and how did you first discover Tolkien's work? What was it like for you, and what's kept you coming back to it?
Well, I actually discovered him late in life. Yeah, I was born in Italy, in case my accent hasn't given it away by now.
Okay.
And I was always an avid reader, and most of the walls in my house were covered with bookshelves from top to bottom. And yet I never heard about Tolkien until I came to the States, which was much later in life. And I first heard about it in church. My pastor, he was clearly a Tolkien fan, used many illustrations for the Lord of the Rings, and especially quotes from Gandalf. And sometimes he would say, "Get out of your Gollum cave." And I kept wondering what he was talking about. And at that time, I was homeschooling my kids, so I got a copy of The Hobbit, and we started to read it together every day. So we started with that, and then moved on to The Lord of the Rings. And I was immediately impressed by Tolkien's talents as a writer, and just drawn into the story. So that's it. Yeah.
Well, you've written a couple of books in the For Kids series previously on important cultural and historic figures from the pre-modern era. What led you to Tolkien for this latest entry in the series? Maybe what is it about Tolkien that made you decide he was a good fit for the same kind of treatment that you gave Michelangelo or Cleopatra?
I've been thinking of or writing about Tolkien for a long time, but it kind of seemed to be a bit out of my reach. I read how Tolkien didn't think a biography would be helpful in understanding a writer, so I was a bit intimidated by that. And then the Four Kids series depends heavily on photos, and finding photos on Tolkien seemed almost impossible. I remember contacting the Tolkien estate to inquire about getting photos, and the response was not very encouraging. It sounded like it
Oh,
would take a
no.
very long time and a lot of applications. And
Mm.
so, and
Oh my.
then when I read the section on children's biographies and J.R.R. Tolkien companion and guide,
Mhm.
the reviews of other books were not very, very encouraging either.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
author said that if kids are old enough to read The Lord of the Rings, they're old enough to read the authorized biography of Tolkien by Carpenter. But but then I thought a bit more about it, and I thought, how many kids are going to read Carpenter's book?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
most
Yeah.
That's
kids
fair.
read very little as it is, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
Carpenter's book is great, but has no pictures, and so I
Yeah.
thought, you know, I just had this desire of introducing Tolkien to kids who might only know his works through the movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I like challenges anyway. So, yeah.
That's great. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there are kids who have watched the movies but haven't read the books, my kids
Right.
Oh,
included,
yeah.
who can
Yeah.
approach your book they're not quite ready to read Lord of the Rings yet. My son's
Hmm.
reading The Hobbit, but not ready for Lord of the Rings. And like you say, he's not really ready for Carpenter's biography, although, I will hand it to him as soon as he's ready. But
Yes, you will.
but
Yeah.
yeah, this gives them another way in, and I think that's
Yes.
great.
Mhm.
Simonetta, tell us a little bit about what was different about approaching Tolkien for a book like this as compared to some of your previous subjects. I mean, I have to believe that, despite the Carpenter biography and,
Hmm.
Garth's work and a lot of other work that's been done on Tolkien's life, still the biographical material isn't quite as copious as I mean, there's probably tons of stuff written about Michelangelo or Cleopatra, whereas there's, enough for a bookshelf on Tolkien. But what we have is very recent. And then, of course, we've got his own letters and, of course, his own fiction to work from. I guess I'd love to hear how different was your process writing about Tolkien and working with the sources about Tolkien to bring him to life, as opposed to someone who's more remote, like Cleopatra.
Well, it was different, but actually I had more information definitely than with Cleopatra, because with
Hmm.
Cleopatra, a lot of the information we have is actually questionable. And
That makes
you
sense.
have to compare it with other historical sources. But then in the end, you end up using a lot of adverbs, like possibly, presumably, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. So, and even with Michelangelo to a certain extent, but with Tolkien, the information was quite reliable, and I found that I had enough.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So not quite as much written, but what's written is probably better. That's what I
Yes,
think I'm
it's more
hearing. Yeah.
reliable. I didn't have
Well, yeah,
to
it's
do a lot of
Yeah.
guesswork.
more firsthand information.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yes.
Yeah.
bet.
Well, another question for you. To what degree does Tolkien's Catholicism play a part in the way that you've brought his story to life for kids? Some of us, including Sean and I, would argue that you can't really separate the author from his worldview, but that doesn't mean that somebody has to be Catholic or even Christian to appreciate his work. How did you approach that kind of potentially thorny issue?
Yeah, well, since it's a biography, I explained the role the Catholic Church had in his life, from its mother's conversion, the disappointment he felt when his mother's relatives distanced themselves from her, then his request for Edith to convert before marrying him, what religion
Mhm.
meant for them later in life, his discussion with C.S. Lewis. All these things are
Hmm.
part of addressed in the biography as facts. And then when I talked
Mhm.
about his works, I try to respect his vision of letting his worldview permeate his words without coming out explicitly. So
Yeah.
my desire was to bring the kids to Tolkien and let him speak. So I did
Yeah.
mention things that, I mean, probably the clearest reference to religion that I included in the book is the story of the creation of the Ainur. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the entrance of evil and dishonest into the world through Melkor.
Mm-hmm.
In looking back, probably I wish I could have described this more in detail because it's actually amazing. But I was limited in the number of words. But anyway, I hope my readers will discover more.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that, just in that scene.
There really is.
Yeah, there is. It's true.
Yeah. Well, J.R.R. Tolkien for Kids isn't just a biography. As we said a few minutes ago, it's also an activity book, which is precisely what makes it different from a lot of the other books about Tolkien that have been written for kids. And folks need to know there are activities in here like invent a new code, write a letter from Father Christmas, which I think might be my personal
you
favorite.
and I have still failed to do.
Yeah, I know. I can't. I haven't done that yet.
Nope.
Draw a map for a story and
Fun
even
time.
make mushroom toast.
I'm going to skip that one, Sean. Is that okay?
You can skip that
Okay,
one. I know
good.
you're not fond of mushrooms, even though
No.
you claim to be a hobbit. But
Mm-hmm.
Simonetta, tell us a little bit more about how did you come up with some of these great ideas? How did you take important events in Tolkien's life and, even features about his work, like invent a new code? Obviously, the invented alphabets and the runes are so, such a part of Tolkien's world. How do you come up with, this is something in Tolkien's work that I think is going to be a fun activity for kids?
Well, coming up with activities was actually the hardest thing for me to do in the book. With Michelangelo and Cleopatra, I could draw a lot of inspiration from the times in which they lived because they're so different. But with Tolkien, the times are not so different than ours. And then even that, he gives a lot of descriptions of food, for example, in his writings, but he doesn't give recipes. So I had to kind of come up with my own. But I think I might have had an advantage over younger authors. I'm old, by the way. Because
we hear you.
It's okay. Because the times in which I lived were more similar to Tolkien's times than the ones where we are now. So
that's fair.
I could draw some ideas from my childhood. So, for example, he flew a kite with his brother, and I assume he made his own. So I made my own kites when I was a child. I don't know if they worked so well, but I did. So I included an activity about that. And then some, because I had to come up with 21.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I was thinking, what else could he have done as a child? And as you know, there's other activities like writing the Lord's Prayer and the space of a penny. But
sure.
I think I used a dime or a quarter. I don't remember. But and then I came up with things that I used to do as a child, like the shadow puppets and making a whistle out of grass. I figured he was out in nature a lot. And those are things that kids did in those days. We didn't have all this entertainment we have now. So.
No.
But I'm not as old as, I'm a generation removed. Just in case. Yeah. But things didn't change too much, I think, from his generation and mine. But they have definitely changed a lot now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And you know what I love about that is that, well, first of all, of course, by picking activities that you did yourself, obviously, kids love them because you did.
Right.
And also, I like the idea of taking inspiration from things that Tolkien himself would have done when he was a child, as opposed to just
like making a kite. That's brilliant.
Yeah, as opposed to just things within the world, mushroom toast, obviously that's fun for anybody who doesn't dislike mushrooms like my co-host does. But but
Enough
then
of
some
that,
of these
Sean,
other
yeah.
things that are a little bit more kind of connect us more with Tolkien the man as opposed
Yeah.
to just the world.
Yeah. And I
That's
try to
good.
draw children into the story and to try to make him experience what he might have done in his life.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these things maybe he did, and some for sure. The kite we know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
then
true.
there's the one about Father Christmas. That
Yeah.
this is a funny story actually, because my mother used to write Father Christmas letters to me. In Italian,
Oh,
it's not
wow.
Father's
Oh,
Christmas;
wow.
it's Babbo Natale, which translates as Daddy Christmas. But she
Okay.
never read Tolkien. I'm sure she didn't, because, as I said, we had so many books in the house, and I knew them all. I actually cataloged them for her. She asked me to. So no, yes,
Wow.
Tolkien was not there. So I don't know. It might have been a thing back then,
Yeah.
and she drew pictures too. But I think she had different motivations, because she used these letters to tell me what I should have done better.
Oh, they
You've
were a
been a
correctional
good
tool.
girl. You've been a good girl,
Oh, that's
but
brilliant.
you need to clean your room a little more. And then, because that worked, she saw that it
Oh, that's
worked.
great.
And then she started to do the same with the Tooth Fairy, other fairies,
Oh, my goodness. That's
Disney
brilliant.
characters, or anybody. Yeah.
Oh,
Characters
that's
from
so good.
books. I had people writing to me from, almost every night.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is
Anyway,
great.
yeah.
Well, Sean, we think we found our motivation to finally get those Father Christmas letters going.
I think so.
Yes.
You could have gotten 2 stuffed animals if you
That's
cleaned your
right.
room a little bit more.
You're 9 and you want a phone, the answer is no. But maybe if you clean your room, by the time
Right.
you're 11, we can talk
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
And
That's
I have a
great.
feeling I can get my daughter to do anything if the letter comes from the Little Mermaid, you
Oh,
know?
seriously.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And if Queen Elsa asks my daughter to do something, it's
For
as
sure.
good as done. You're
It's
right.
getting done.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Simonetta, what kind of feedback would you like to hear from parents or even teachers who may share this book with their kids, or even from kids themselves? It probably hasn't been out long enough for you to get that kind of feedback yet, but what do you hope to hear from folks?
Well, as I said in the beginning, I hope that they can connect with Tolkien. They can understand a little more how he lived, and especially that they can be inspired to read his books. And I don't know if I've
Yes.
achieved that, but that was really my desire. So, and about the activities, I mean, to me, like I said, those were the hardest thing to do. But
Yeah.
I think if they help kids, some of them, they might seem a little commonplace. Actually, I had a really, really bad review, one bad review in my whole life, so that's not too bad. But it was for this book, and the person who wrote it didn't like the activities. And I was thinking, well, some of them might sound like commonplace, like plant a seed. Okay, yes, we've done this hundreds of times. But first of all, it meant a lot to Tolkien. He did it with his son. He taught his son to grow plants. And then I was thinking, just the fact of waiting for the seed to grow and checking and finding excitement in that. So some of the activities might take time, but I think it's part of the experience, because Tolkien enjoyed the process. And today kids can go on YouTube and see a seed grow into a plant
Right.
in seconds. Yeah. So I think if they can connect more with Tolkien and with and understand a little what he was trying to say, I would be very happy.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we can't let you go without asking, what's your favorite activity in the book? And maybe it's one you've already mentioned.
Well, actually, I have 2, and it's not one I already mentioned. One is the pressed flowers. And again, I go back to my childhood. My mother pressed lots of flowers, and I still find them inside some of her old books.
Oh,
and
wow.
I read how soldiers press flowers for their girlfriends or fiancés, wives at the home. And I thought kids could do the same and just again enter into the story and think for a moment what it was like for those young men on the battlefront and what those flowers meant to them and to their loved ones. So if they do the activity and connect with the story, I think that would be great. And my second one is marmalade. I never made marmalade before, but
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I once watched a British woman in Italy making it, but I always thought it was so difficult. I couldn't imagine that I could ever do it. I found a few recipes, I tried them out, and it was easy. And it just happened. I was so surprised. I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be so difficult, but it was easy. So I love
That's
that
great.
one. And I loved eating it.
Well, of course. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Yep.
Simonetta, is there anything that we haven't asked about that's important for us and our listeners to know about this book?
No, I mean, I think we covered everything.
Okay.
When I wrote the book, to me it was a great experience to try to connect with Tolkien throughout his life, and I think the activities, as much as I dislike doing them, they forced me to do this even more. But I think it takes the children through the life. Again, once there are parts of it that people might think, well, why do I need to know this, for example? But to me, they're important. So, I wrote things because I thought they were important. So, for example, one is when he, all the troubles he had to publish his books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, after The Hobbit, of course. And even in writing The Lord of the Rings, how The Lord of the Rings changed. He wanted to write they wanted him to write a sequel to The Hobbit, and it just came out completely different. And I think for kids, it's great to know this kind of stuff, and even to know the struggles an author can have, even an author as great as Tolkien can have in publishing a book. So I don't know. I enjoyed it very much. If they can enjoy it, I would be very, very happy. But
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much, Simonetta. I really cannot express how grateful we are for you to join us today, and it's really just been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. I had fun.
Well, thank you again, Simonetta. And folks, you can find Simonetta online on Facebook, Simonetta Carr, that's SIMONETTA CARR. And she's also on Twitter at Simonetta Carr.
And with that, folks, we're going to return you to the podcast in progress.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I can tell you, Alan and I really liked having a chance to interview a writer who's, for once, written a book that maybe is something new to a lot of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got to say, the book has really been a hit in our house. But
Same here.
Now, let's go ahead and get back to a book that I know you've all read before. And I'm going to let Alan get us back into the text.
Sounds good. I'm going to pick up exactly where we left off after last week's episode. Gollum disappeared. He was away some time, and Frodo, after a few mouthfuls of lembas, settled deep into the brown fern and went to sleep. Sam looked at him. The early daylight was only just creeping down into the shadows under the trees, but he saw his master's face very clearly, and his hands, too, lying at rest on the ground beside him. He was reminded suddenly of Frodo as he had lain asleep in the house of Elrond after his deadly wound. Then, as he had kept watch, Sam had noticed that, at times, a light seemed to be shining faintly within. But now the light was even clearer and stronger. Frodo's face was peaceful. The marks of fear and care had left it, but it looked old and beautiful, as if the chiseling of the shaping years was now revealed in many fine lines that had before been hidden, though the identity of the face was not changed. Not that Sam Gamgee put it that way to himself. He shook his head, as if finding words useless, and murmured, I love him. He's like that, and sometimes it shines through somehow. But I love him whether or no. Oh, what a tender passage, huh?
What a wonderful place to start this episode.
It is. I agree.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start talking about what we've got here. So,
all right.
Gollum heads off on Sam's errand. Remember, he had
Yeah.
begged for a little bit of help, a little bit of food.
Yeah.
And after Gollum heads off, Frodo has some lembas and goes to sleep. And then that's when we get this really poignant look at Frodo through Sam's eyes. And this is such a beautiful passage.
It really is. And I love, we'll get to this, but I love that it's through his eyes, but enhanced by words that the narrator can come up with, because Sam doesn't think of it this way. But
Sam doesn't have that gift of eloquence, does he?
No. But this really takes Sam's thoughts and feelings and puts them into an eloquent way.
Yeah.
So we start there at the beginning of that. It's the earliest of daylight, right? I mean, it's just dawn is only creeping into the shadows now. I mean, it's really still pretty dark. But Sam sees Frodo's face clearly, and his hands. Why mention these?
Yeah, his hands. Well, it's a good question. We do see that Sam is reminded of the way Frodo looked when he was back in Rivendell. This is back at the beginning of book 2, when Frodo's recovering from being stabbed with the Morgul blade. Remember, of course, the wound he took on Weathertop. And Frodo's hands actually played a role in that too. So I've got a bit of that passage here.
Okay.
At that moment, there was a knock on the door, and Sam came in. He ran to Frodo and took his left hand, awkwardly and shyly. He stroked it gently, and then he blushed and turned hastily away. Hello, Sam, said Frodo. It's warm, said Sam. Mean in your hand, Mr. Frodo. It has felt so cold through the long nights. But glory and trumpets, he cried, turning round again with shining eyes and dancing on the floor. It's fine to see you up and yourself again, sir.
I love that passage. Absolutely love that passage. Glory and trumpets. What a line.
Sam's absolute joy at seeing Frodo okay.
Yeah.
And there's no... we've kind of talked before about how Sam has no filter sometimes,
no,
right?
He
like
doesn't.
He kind of just says whatever he's thinking. Sometimes he says things that maybe he shouldn't say, some of the things he says to Gollum, for example.
He's very much the emotional core of the story, though, right? I mean, that's
very
the whole
much
point.
So. We talked about that, yeah.
He's raw emotion in a way.
He says what people are feeling.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
And we see that there in that passage from the Many Meetings chapter, when Sam is expressing in words the joy that everybody's feeling that Frodo is okay. And it's a really pure moment. But that's then. Let's talk about this passage here.
Yeah, exactly. So we see the mention of the hands, and I think that's, we harken back to the passage you read for that exact reason. There's just something, I think, that strikes Sam as a memory from that moment.
Yeah.
And just that recollection leads to another observation by Sam about that time, that Frodo seems to radiate light like he did in Rivendell. But the text says clearer and stronger. I want to talk a little bit. What's the cause or the source of this light? Is this maybe the elf friend thing that we talked about all the way back when Gildor meets him in the Woody End? Or is there something else going on here?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And, I was just looking at the mailbag yesterday, in fact, and I don't actually have anything in my notes on this. It's just something I was thinking about that just happens to be relevant. A couple of years ago, we actually got a question from a listener named Wai Ming in China, who made a connection to the light coming from the elves at Woody End, just like you just did, and then made a connection back to the Two Trees of Valinor, asking if it's the same kind of light. And
okay, which is the same light that we see in the eyes of the exiled elves, right?
Yeah. And I wonder, like you're saying, Alan, I wonder if this is the same light. Is this the light of ennoblement that we see in the exiles from Valinor, that we see in Gildor? As you said, Frodo has been named an elf friend now, so maybe that's a little bit of what's going on here. And that's like Verlin Flieger's got a whole chapter on this in Splintered Light.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. It could be that. I don't know that we have a firm answer anywhere, but that could very well be what this is. This is Frodo's inner light, his ennoblement shining through. That's very interesting.
It really is. And it's another one of those chicken and egg things. Does he have the light because he's an elf friend, or he's an elf friend because he has the light?
Right.
Is the status of elf friend something that is given to him because they recognize this already in him? Or is declaring him an elf friend something that actively gives him some characteristic?
Yeah. I wonder.
I like that it's getting stronger, though, because I think it's getting stronger in opposition to the darkness as they get closer, you know?
And maybe that is part of it. Frodo is much like Galadriel's vial, right?
Mm.
He is a light that's going to shine in the darkness, and the darker it gets, the more you can see the light, right? That's those antitheses. The darkness makes the light seem brighter. Now, I do wonder, though, you talked a moment ago about how the narrator is kind of inserting some flowery prose that Sam isn't really quite capable of, certainly
Well,
not at
right.
this point. I wonder if this bit about the light is a later introduction by another scribe. I don't know. I guess we can't really go there because you could start questioning anything.
I see what you mean, though. Right. Is this something that Sam consciously thinking of? No, I don't think so, because it's not that Sam Gamgee put it that way to himself.
Right.
He's struggling to find the words, right? That's just not who he is.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Enjoy the silence.
We haven't had a Depeche Mode reference in a while.
Unnecessary.
Nicely done.
They can only do harm, yeah.
I'm surprised you let us go this long without a Depeche Mode reference. I mean, I know we had a few the first couple of seasons, but...
It's hard for me, man.
But yeah, that's really cool. And it is such a beautiful passage.
It really is.
I mean, then we get this description of Frodo's face, which is just...
Oh, I know.
Absolutely lovely. The marks of fear and care had left it.
Old and beautiful.
Old and beautiful.
I feel suddenly just a little bit better. As if the chiseling of the shaping years is now revealed in many fine lines that I've been trying to get rid of.
They're not wrinkles, honey. The chiseling of the shaping years is revealed in many fine lines that had been hidden.
No. Actually, I got to tell you, though, this passage, this is a bit of a stretch, so bear with me, but it reminds me a bit, especially that line about chiseling of the shaping years, really reminds me a bit of the description of Aragorn's appearance after his death. I'm going to read from Appendix 5. Then a great beauty was revealed in him, so that all who after came there looked on him in wonder, for they saw that the grace of his youth and the valor of his manhood and the wisdom and majesty of his age were blended together.
Yeah.
I think there's something equally majestic here, right? That line about the chiseling and the shaping years, that really strikes me as being indicative of the wisdom and majesty of his age. It's there's a real similarity there. And I mean, obviously there's a big difference. Frodo's still alive, which is a good thing.
Yes, it is. But I actually had a similar thought, although I went a little bit darker with it because I didn't think of Aragorn specifically, but I did notice that there's something to this description with this peacefulness. It's almost like a peacefulness of death, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Frodo is so still and so serene. And it almost reminds me of someone looking upon him after he's died. And maybe that too is sort of like the light that Sam is seeing. There's kind of like a holiness there. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really have anything prepared on this, so I'm really just kind of talking off the cuff here. But I did kind of get that thought that it was almost like the peace of death that Sam is seeing here. And that struck me as kind of dark. I wondered, is this kind of like foreshadowing, the future? Is this foreshadowing the wound that Frodo's going to receive later on in Shelob's lair when Sam actually thinks he's dead?
That is an interesting question.
Maybe I'm going too dark with it, but that's what I saw when I read this. And
I can see that too. Very much that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of it. I really like your observation about like the wisdom though, right? The wisdom that we see in Aragorn and the dignity. We see a dignity in Frodo here.
Oh, absolutely. And from Sam's perspective, especially,
Yeah, for sure.
The wisdom and the dignity. Yeah,
for sure. And there's also a little bit of a recovery of a clear view,
Yeah, that's true.
This is a side of Frodo that Sam hasn't seen before, things that had before been hidden.
But the identity was not changed. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. There's that.
Sam is suddenly seeing him in a new way. What do we make of it all? I mean, I don't know what to make of it all. These are a lot of really cool observations, but...
Yeah, I think what we can make of it is that Sam has just an absolute unlimited amount of admiration and love for Frodo.
Yeah. Frodo is truly at peace now. And I also noticed that there's a couple of times in this chapter, this particular section of the chapter, where we're reminded that Frodo can really only attain this kind of peace while he's sleeping.
Yeah. With the ring, bearing the ring this close to Mordor. Absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe it's just because that's when he can truly lay down that burden and he can rest and actually not have a care.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, you're right. We will get to that. There's a specific moment I'm thinking
There's
of.
a specific moment later on for sure.
Mhm,
Yeah. But I
definitely.
think there's definitely something to that, that sleep is really a respite for Frodo here.
Yeah. Well, imagine that's the only way it can be, given
Yeah.
the burden that he has
Given
to
the
carry.
burden that he's under right now. Yeah.
Mhm,
Wow. And it's a nice
absolutely.
reminder that there's a break for everybody, even in times like these. There's respite
Mm,
to be had.
there is. Yeah, there's recovery. Yeah,
So a beautiful
absolutely.
passage, but like
Oh,
we said
stunning.
before, I mean, that's not how Sam put it. For him,
No.
it's very simple, and I kind of love
Yeah,
the simplicity of this. I
I do
love him.
too.
He's like that.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes that light is there, and sometimes it's not. And
sometimes
even if
it's
it's
not, but
not, I'm going to love him the same.
that's right. Even if the light doesn't shine through, Sam loves him, whether or not it's there. It's unconditional, really. I mean, this is
It
truly an
is.
unconditional love
It's
for
a pure
Frodo that
love.
Sam has here.
Yeah. This is a
Yeah.
pure, unconditional, no matter what, he's going to
Yeah.
love Frodo. He just has this incredible admiration for him and love for him.
Yeah.
And, I think we'll see that, of course, dozens of times between now and the end of the book. And we'll talk about it each time, but I think it's worth just hanging on to it for a little bit here, talking about that admiration and love. Where does that come from for Sam?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we talk about how Sam is Frodo's servant, right?
Yes.
He's his gardener. There is a clear class distinction between them, with Frodo being the aristocrat, Sam being the working class guy. But here we see one of those moments where the friendship and the love between them really transcends that. It
Oh, yeah.
transcends class in a way, and it transcends any simple kind of transactional relationship of like, oh, my gardener, the guy who works for me. They are truly friends, and they truly love each other as comrades, as brothers. I mean, this is deep. This is deep affection, and someday I think we need to dive into like some of the different kinds of love that exist between characters in Tolkien's world. And I think this is really a very pure one. It's a very
Yeah.
pure love between two very close friends who are going through something incredibly difficult. And we see it more through Sam's eyes than through Frodo's, except
Yeah.
later on, right? There's that wonderful moment later on when Frodo says, "I'm glad you're with me." But
Yes.
so much throughout the book, we just see it in Sam's eyes, and it just kind of seems, I don't know. I mean, at times, I think it seems a little one-sided. I think I've said before that like Sam loves Frodo more than Frodo loves Sam.
We certainly see it more. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
we do. I think I was probably a little too glib when I put it that way, but I don't know. We definitely see it more from
No, I
Sam's
think you're right.
perspective.
We see it more from Sam's perspective. And I think, again, that has to do with the fact that Sam is the emotional core of the story.
I think
He
you're
is
right.
the heart. Like you said before, no filter.
Yeah.
And, Frodo thinks things through. He's not quite as rash as Sam, and he's certainly not as talkative as Sam. Frodo's
Yeah.
very, very quiet, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And I think that may be part of the reason why we don't necessarily see it from his perspective. But
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
think he
so.
loves him any less. It's just that we're not necessarily privy to his thoughts the way we're privy to Sam's thoughts.
I think that's probably the truth. Again, I know I said before that, I think, Sam loves Frodo more than Frodo loves Sam. I don't really think that, but
No.
it is much more apparent. And maybe it is just because Sam just says what's on his mind. The
Yeah.
narrative kind of gets into his head in a way it doesn't quite get into Frodo's.
Yeah.
And so
think
we just see it more so. But I also love that about it because,
I do too. Yeah.
for men especially, to be able to see this kind of honesty and candor in talking
Yeah.
about your love for a friend, we don't get that often as dudes.
No, that's
And
not a 21st century thing, is
No.
it? And
No,
I think
it's
we're going to
not.
get to that more when we see some of these even more powerful moments where we're going to talk about the influence that his friendships, with
Yeah.
the Inklings, or his, more
Yeah.
importantly, his wartime friendships,
Right.
with the TCBS, and the experience of going through
Something like that.
something like
war.
the Battle of the Somme
Mhm.
with fellow men, and the powerful bond that
The bond that
between
creates.
men.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That camaraderie, that brothership,
Yeah.
and that unconditional love, because that's the if there are conditions on it, it's not going to survive.
It's not going to survive. You're not going to have somebody's back if that love is
No.
conditional. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So we'll touch on
that's a
that
great
more.
moment.
We will revisit that, folks. So don't feel like we're done with Sam and Frodo at this point.
Oh gosh,
Considering
no.
the rest of the season is pretty much
We're honestly
Sam
just
and
getting
Frodo.
started, and this is such a great moment to bring it up. So I'm glad we've done so.
Really is. Mm-hmm. Well, before we get back to the discussion, we want to make sure that you know that when you finish listening to this episode, the talk continues all night long at the Prancing Pony Podcast.
That's right. Our amazing listener community keeps the conversation going in all of our social media spaces, from our common room on Facebook to our Reddit community, Twitter, and more.
Now on Facebook, just look for the Prancing Pony Podcast. And now be sure to follow both the page and join the group for some great discussions.
And you can find us on Reddit at r/prancingponypod. And we're also at Prancing Pony Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
And let's go ahead and pick up exactly where I left off. Sean, talk to us about Helpful Smeagol, will you?
All right. Gollum returned quietly and peered over Sam's shoulder. Looking at Frodo, he shut his eyes and crawled away without a sound. Sam came to him a moment later and found him chewing something and muttering to himself. On the ground beside him lay 2 small rabbits, which he was beginning to eye greedily.
Smeagol always helps, he said. He has brought rabbits. Nice rabbits. But Master has gone to sleep. And perhaps Sam wants to sleep. Doesn't want rabbits now. Smeagol tries to help, but he can't catch things all in a minute.
Sam, however, had no objection to rabbit at all, and said so. At least not to cooked rabbit. All hobbits, of course, can cook, for they begin to learn the art before their letters, which many never reach. But Sam was a good cook, even by hobbit reckoning, and he had done a good deal of the camp cooking on their travels when there was a chance.
When there was a chance. The rest of the time, they just, went through the local drive-thru.
As you do. Just pick something up at the gas station. Some
As
beef
one
jerky,
does,
some
yeah,
chips.
sometimes. How long has that hot dog been sitting in that warming lamp? That's what I
Longer
wanna
than
know.
you want to know.
Longer than you've maybe been alive. Yeah.
Well,
It's a pretty scary thought.
I don't
All
know
right.
about that. That's terrifying. Especially not as long as we've been alive.
No, certainly not. No. So Gollum comes back while Sam is having this moment, the one we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we see something unexpected, don't we? We see him peer at Frodo over Sam's shoulder. He closes his eyes and crawls silently away. What do you make of this? Is this like respect for Sam's moment? I kind of think not. Is it more admiration for Frodo? What do you think?
I tell you what I got from this was, I think Gollum is having, or maybe Smeagol properly, Smeagol is having a moment of genuine compassion for Frodo and probably genuine empathy for Sam and guilt over the fact that he plans to betray them.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that.
He's already planning to betray them, and he's probably...
Perspective guilt, yeah.
Yeah, I think right now he's feeling a bit of... Regret's probably not the right word, but he's feeling guilt for sure that he's going to do this, I think.
Wow, I think you're
closing
right.
his eyes and crawling away, like he just,
I can't see this. I can't watch this love.
Exactly.
Because
because these are the people that I'm going to feed to a giant spider.
Here you go.
Drop it into your cage.
Very friendly hobbits.
Yeah.
I just thought of something. I think there's also a little bit of jealousy here. Here's a guy who hasn't had
wow. Yes.
companionship
Let's talk
or brotherly love. And he's,
wow.
I'm sure that's got to hit him hard.
Oh,
Hundreds
man.
of
Actually,
years.
you might win on that one. That's a really good point.
It literally just popped to me because of what we just been talking about with Frodo and Sam.
Yeah.
It really contrasted. And I thought,
they have this camaraderie. They have each other. Gollum has had no one for 500 years.
No.
The
last guy who cared about him, he strangled. So,
right. Exactly. Nobody said a kind word to him for centuries.
Oh man, that still sticks with me, by the way. I remember discovering that passage, really, that line for the first time in all the mini reads and realizing what that meant and how it must just weigh on his heart. But yeah, I think there's some of that here. I can't watch this because I don't have this.
Yeah. I think that very well could be it.
That's
maybe
all
more so even
too.
than guilt. It could just be the jealousy. Yeah.
My goodness.
Wow.
That must hurt, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's got
it's
to.
self-inflicted wounds, let's be clear.
Well, yeah.
You know,
When you kill people and run off,
you tend not to,
you're not gonna have a lot of
to make
friends.
a lot of friends. No.
Yeah.
How to win friends and influence people. There's nothing in there about
But
choking out anybody.
But strangling somebody and
taking their jewelry. No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
My goodness.
So when Sam does come to find him a little bit later, we see Gollum chewing and muttering. This is a weird kind of animalistic moment. He's kind of talking to himself. But next to him are two rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious rabbits.
Yes.
Gollum says he always helps, and I've brought you these rabbits.
That's right. I've brought these rabbits, but Frodo's asleep, and I don't know, maybe Sam wants to sleep too.
I've brought them for you, but if you don't want them, it's cool. Like
that's right.
I'll make sure they don't
even
go to waste.
like rabbit. Maybe rabbit's is not your thing.
Right.
And Sam's like, no. I'm perfectly fine with rabbit, and I'm going to make that
rabbit.
really clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what he doesn't make clear is the fact that he's going to cook it. That comes as a bit of a shock to Smeagol.
It comes as a huge shock to Smeagol. Are you kidding me? Like cooking? Cooking?
Yeah. Cooking? Why are you... Okay.
We don't cook anything. What are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we get this wonderful aside that I love about...
Oh, I know. I do too.
Yeah, it's Hobbit's cooking in general, but also Sam's cooking in particular.
That's
is
right.
Really good.
That's right. I mean, all hobbits can cook, and I can't help but think of Ratatouille. Everyone can cook.
Anyone can cook. That's right.
Yeah. The hobbits all learn to cook before they learn to write, if they even learn it at all. And that,
I mean, that's fair.
That is fair. I mean, and it makes sense because
Shire.
Really, if you're starving to death but know how to read, is that better than being able to eat and then learn how to read later?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean,
you got to eat to learn.
Reading and writing are not as practical. It might be interesting to some people, but it's not practical knowledge. Cooking is practical knowledge.
Very practical knowledge.
People of the earth need.
Yeah, and hobbits are, boy, talk about folks of the earth. Yeah,
for sure.
In fact, that thing about the learning how to write reminded me of the gaffer not seeming too fond of Sam actually learning to write. Remember at the end there, and I'm trying to remember, is it Golden Perch? No, it's what's the one
Green
there?
Dragon, wasn't it?
This is a Green Dragon. Of course it is. Of course it's the Green Dragon. He says, Mr. Bilbo has learned him his letters, meaning no harm, mark you, and I hope no harm will come of it. Elves and dragons, I says to him. Cabbages and potatoes are better for me and you. So, again, practical knowledge. It's not going to help you much if you know a lot about elves and dragons, but it's going to help you if you know how to grow cabbages and potatoes.
That's right. Yeah. That's information you need to have.
Yeah. I mean, he like we said, practical knowledge. That's what's more important here. Not elves and dragons, knowing how to cook.
Right. Knowing how to cook. And we see that Sam is an especially good cook.
That's right.
So much so that he's been the one doing the camp cooking on the quest. And we even see that he came prepared, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this isn't the part you read, but I absolutely love this stuff. I had a hard time cutting it, by the way, when I was deciding what we were going to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, he's got the tinder box. He's got a couple of shallow pans. He's got, some utensils, a fork, a spoon, some skewers.
Yeah, he's probably got a spork, but we just don't call it that.
He's probably got some chopsticks in there. I don't know.
Maybe.
Peppermill. Who knows? Does he have a microplane? I bet he's got a
Parmesan,
microplane.
Exactly. Parmesan cheese and a microplane grater. Just tell me when to stop, he says.
Right. That's enough.
Yeah.
No, that's too much. Send it back.
That's right. That's right.
But seriously, he does have some salt, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. It's a dwindling treasure. It's running out. Salt, of course, being very important, not just for flavor, but I would imagine that if they did ever capture any animals that they killed for meat, they would need to use salt as a preservative. Though they probably have to have more salt than would be practical, I would imagine.
Probably so. He probably
if he's got salt, it's probably just enough for flavor. But yeah,
just a bit of seasoning.
That's right.
Like they said in the movie.
Well, right. Boy, and if there's a chapter where it's really easy to get mixed up between movie and book, it's this one.
It's true because it is so vivid in the movie, and it's some really great moments.
Yet he does say potatoes. I've heard people say, "Oh, that's not in the book." Actually, it is, and we'll see it. Yeah.
The boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew bit.
That's the part that's not. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the fact that Sam comes prepared with all this stuff because it's like
he's got his Eagle Scout badge, man. I mean,
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And he's got, he's prepared for the chance to relive some of the comforts of home, right? Like, I mean, he doesn't
absolutely.
really expect to need any of this stuff, but he wants to be
No.
able to. And I'm reminded again of that, that kind of that wartime thing, the Tommies,
Mhm.
probably would just love any chance they could have to relive any of the comforts of home. And they
Oh,
get a
absolutely.
package from home and things
Letters
like
from
that. I
home,
mean,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
everything like that meant the world to him because
yeah,
they feel like they're, in an entire other world given what they're
right,
enduring, and that
right.
reminder of home and what they're fighting
Yeah,
for, right?
yeah,
Well, and no matter how much Sam has along with him, he still needs more, right? He needs a fire, which he's got to start, and he needs
right.
other things beside, the text tells us. What would those things
And he
be?
starts to think through what some of those
Yeah.
other things might be
Yeah,
while
yeah.
he takes out his knife and gets it ready.
Mhm.
He's wetting it and everything, and he starts to dress the rabbits, butcher the rabbits.
I know, dress the rabbits. Well, what's he dressing them in? There's a little bitty tuxedos. Oh, look, I just put a cummerbund on the dead bunny. No. Dressing,
That's really
folks.
funny, but
Isn't
no.
it?
And he's got a little
man.
hat.
Um, no, he's getting ready to cook.
Yeah.
He's getting all of his mise en place.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. He's got all the ramekins going.
But while he's thinking of what he needs, he's not going to be the one to go get what he needs. No,
No,
he's got a sous chef for that.
he does have a sous chef, which I'm not sure Gollum's ready for that position, but yeah.
I don't think so. No, he needs a little bit more experience under his belt before he's ready for that. But Sam doesn't want to leave Frodo alone, right? I
No.
mean, that's part of this,
Well, he certainly doesn't want to leave Frodo alone with Gollum.
right?
I mean, if Gollum's out hunting, maybe Sam says, I can spare a couple minutes, but no,
Yeah.
not with Gollum there.
Gollum, can you keep an eye on Frodo for a little while? I need to go get some parsley.
Gladly, Sam.
I'm sure I saw some terebinth back there. I need to use that.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, he is going to send Gollum to go get some of the stuff for him, and you're going to pick up just a couple of paragraphs on where we see some of that.
All right, sounds good. While Gollum was away, Sam took another look at Frodo. He was still sleeping quietly, but Sam was now struck most by the leanness of his face and hands. Too thin and drawn he is, he muttered. Not right for a hobbit. If I can get these conies cooked, I'm going to wake him up. Sam gathered a pile of the driest fern, and then scrambled up the bank, collecting a bundle of twigs and broken wood. The fallen branch of a cedar at the top gave him a good supply. He cut out some turves at the foot of the bank just outside the fern break, and made a shallow hole and laid his fuel in it. Being handy with flint and tinder, he soon had a small blaze going. It made little or no smoke, but gave off an aromatic scent. He was just stooping over his fire, shielding it and building it up with heavier wood, when Gollum returned, carrying the pans carefully and grumbling to himself. Because that's what Gollum does. A lot.
Again, he really doesn't like his position here in the kitchen.
No, he's looking for new work, really.
Yeah,
he's about ready
sure.
to quit this kitchen, yeah.
He's about to go start driving for Uber. There's better work to be found than working in this guy's kitchen.
Seriously. Going to get pans of water.
So, all right. Going back to before the passage you started reading.
Yeah.
So we see Sam send Gollum to use the pans to get some water.
Right.
Gollum's, sure, yeah, I'll go do this, but he wants to know what it's for, right? I mean,
right. You've
already had some water to drink. You've already washed up.
Yeah, that's
what are you doing with this?
Right. Sam sort of, I will neither confirm nor deny, right? He seems to think, rightfully so, that Gollum is not going to be very pleased with the actual answer, so he just delays answering, and instead kind of pulls a Sam by issuing a threat, which we'll see is kind of his MO this chapter.
It kind of is, yeah. At least it's a threat with a reason, right? It's not just do it or I'm going to carve you into mincemeat. It's don't damage one of my pans. He's kind of deflecting a little
There's
bit.
only 2 pans after all, and yeah.
Right. So after Gollum leaves, Sam goes back to looking at Frodo again, and this is where you actually started reading, just like before. But now, instead of observing Frodo's inner light, he's struck by something else. He's struck by how thin he is at this point.
Yeah.
Which he says is not right for a hobbit.
Is that our excuse?
Which that's... yeah, I mean, I'll take any
it's
excuse
not right
for
a
not
hobbit.
Thin. I'm just like, yeah.
That's
like
right.
I
it couldn't be thin.
Physique going. Yeah.
It's not right. Not right for a hobbit to be thin.
No. I can't lose weight. That wouldn't be right for a hobbit.
I'm going to use that, actually.
I think I will. You're going to have to start carrying around pans everywhere you go to pull that off.
I'll certainly carry around
And start
the
being a
salt.
good cook, because apparently all hobbits are good cooks.
Oh, well.
I
yeah,
know
all of them
you
can
know how
cook.
to work a grill.
I do know how to work a grill. That's probably about all I know how to work. I'm very good at the handful of meals that I can cook, but let's be clear, my repertoire is very thin.
Very thin. It's wafer thin.
There's like a half dozen things I can cook really well, but I can cook them really well. So
there you go.
Rabbit's not one of them. Let's be clear.
No, I've never cooked rabbit. I've cooked a lot of stuff on the grill. I've done a lot of grilling. I've done a lot of smoking. I've done a lot of baking.
I wonder if smoked rabbit would be. I don't know.
Maybe.
You smoke anything, it's probably pretty good.
That's
You've
true.
had rabbit, haven't you?
I've had rabbit a lot, yeah.
So what does it taste like? Is it like chicken? Or is it
No,
more
it doesn't taste like
gamey,
chicken. It's kind of gamey. It's just like a roast meat, like kind of a gamey roast meat.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to compare it to. It's just
I mean, I've had venison, I've had elk, I've had moose.
Maybe it's a little bit more in that venison kind of
Okay.
range, just because it can be kind of gamey.
Yeah.
But it's actually, rabbit stew is the national dish of Malta, and I've been to Malta.
Oh, wow.
And not only have I had rabbit stew in Malta, but I've had like roasted rabbit at several restaurants in Malta. Like I just got to where I would just order like a whole roasted rabbit on a plate in Malta.
So, little known fact, the Maltese falcon was originally named the Maltese rabbit, and they had to change that?
There you go. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, tons of rabbits on the island of Malta, and they do
Very
eat
interesting.
them.
Did not know that.
But yeah, I mean, it's weird because when I think, what is rabbit like? Well, it's like squirrel. But I don't think most people have eaten squirrel either, but I'm from the South.
I almost said that, but I've never had that either, so I don't know what. Yeah. I mean, because it's small and it's kind of a similar class of animal. I would have thought, okay, maybe it's a squirrel, but I don't know what that tastes like, so but not helpful.
But it's not like chicken. I would say it's a bit more like venison.
Okay. That makes more sense.
To me. I don't know. Other people may have different opinions, but so yeah, we know hobbits are good with eating rabbit. And Sam decides that he's going to feed Frodo these rabbits.
That's right.
He's going to wake them up after cooking them. Mm-hmm. Except he doesn't use the word rabbit, does he?
No, he does not.
After I get these conies cooked.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this word coney. We got to do a little word nerdery on this. Now, obviously, it means rabbit.
Well, yeah, we know that.
Anybody can see that from the context here. But it's not a terribly common word for the animal anymore.
No.
Now, you might assume that because it's kind of a weird word for a rabbit and it's in Sam's dialogue, you might be inclined to assume that this is one of those old English words that Tolkien is reviving.
Ale coney de work.
That's right, yeah. Coney de work.
The old rabbits of giants.
Coney ye work.
Coney ye work.
You might assume that it's an old English term, but you'd be wrong if you assume that.
Of course
because it's not.
Yeah.
Of course. It actually comes from French, believe it or not. It comes from Anglo-Norman and Old French, and the word in French was conin, C-O-N-I-N, which ultimately comes from Latin, not surprisingly, cuniculus.
Oh, okay.
Now,
I like when I'm looking up in the sky and I see those cuniculus clouds. Sorry, this made me think of like cumulus and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, before you ask, rabbit isn't an Old English word either.
Oh.
It's not a corruption of Old English ralbitla or anything like that.
Oldbitla.
It is also originally from French, but originally referred only to a young coney until later on it just became the usual word for the creature.
Okay. Well, the thing is, interestingly, there doesn't appear to be an Old English word for the creatures. There is literally no reference to them in English prior to the Norman conquest. And
that's right.
Here's where I insert my required boo. According to the OED, although there is archaeological evidence to suggest that rabbits existed in Britain before the last ice age, and that some attempt may have been made to reintroduce them in the Roman period, the rabbit appears to have been unknown to the Anglo-Saxons and only successfully reestablished in Norman times. It has no native name in Celtic or Germanic. And that's interesting.
That is interesting.
The OED goes on to point out that coney occurs in English earlier with reference to the fur, suggesting that the English may have been introduced to rabbit hides before they were introduced as living creatures.
That is very interesting. And I've got one more interesting bit of word nerdery here.
Okay.
The pronunciation of coney actually changed over time. Now, you look at the spelling, and you can probably guess that It was originally pronounced to rhyme with words like honey and money. But
of course.
around the 19th century, the pronunciation was changed to distinguish coney from let's just say a rather vulgar word that was gaining prominence in British slang at the time.
I see. Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that, except to add that it was the same association that eventually led to people just saying, you know what, we're just not even going to call it a coney anymore.
Let's just
we're
call
just
it
going to call it a
rabbit. Be
rabbit.
done with this, please.
Yeah, we don't want to give anyone an opportunity to make a really horrible pun.
No.
So there you go.
No. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I love our word nerd.
I do too. It's one of my favorite bits.
So Sam, cooking a couple rabbits, cooking a couple conies, decides to, of course, prepare a cooking fire. And I love the way Tolkien walks through this. This is really how you would do it, right? The dry ferns, the bundle of twigs, and then some broken wood, right? We've got the tinder, we've got the kindling, and then we've got proper firewood. And then he's preparing a place. Yeah, he really is. He knows his stuff. This is, like I said, Eagle Scout Sam, right?
I can barely pull this off in a fire pit with a long stem lighter. I mean,
I know. Seriously, yeah. I've got the. Anybody got some newspaper? How about lighter fluid, man?
Give me some toilet paper rolls stuffed with dryer lint. You know, like
I know.
I need like all the accoutrements. This dude just makes it happen.
Yeah. Tinder, kindling, and proper wood, and then he's got the flint going. I mean, this guy really knows what he's doing. And he even prepares a place to set the fire. Again, very smart, because he knows he doesn't want it to smoke. And just so you know, by the way, a touch of word nerdery, turves, that's grass and the surface of dirt held together by the roots. You might know it better as sod, right? So it's just, a bunch of little lumps of sod that he's moved aside to create this dirt hole to put the fire in.
Basically the plural of turf, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Turves.
Even though nowadays, usually when we say turf in the U.S., at least, we're usually talking about artificial turf.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Do they play on grass or do they play on turf? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting word. I like that, turves.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's a great word.
But then, as you say, Sam is lighting it with a flint.
Mm-hmm.
He is the Boy Scout. And then
really
we get some observations about the fire. There's very little smoke, really pleasant smell.
Yeah. Aromatic scent. I love that. And that's when Gollum returns, doing his Gollum-y thing, grumbling. But at least with pans full of water, or at least halfway full of water, enough water to get the job done.
Yeah.
And that is where I'm going to have you pick up.
He doesn't like what he's seeing here.
Gollum's grumbling now. Just wait a moment.
All right. He set the pans down and then suddenly saw what Sam was doing. He gave a thin, hissing shriek and seemed to be both frightened and angry.
Ah! No!
He cried.
No! Silly hobbits! Foolish! Yes, foolish! They mustn't do it!
Mustn't do what? Asked Sam in surprise.
Not make the nasty red tongues,
hissed Gollum.
Fire! Fire! It's dangerous, yes it is. It burns, it kills. And it will bring enemies, yes it will.
I don't think so, said Sam. Don't see why it should if you don't put wet stuff on it and make a smother. But if it does, it does. I'm going to risk it anyhow. I'm going to stew these conies.
Stew the rabbits,
squealed Gollum in dismay.
Spoil beautiful meat Smeagol saved for you. Poor, hungry Smeagol. What for? What for, silly hobbit? They are young, they are tender, they are nice. Eat them, eat them.
No, I don't want to eat them.
That's going to be a no for me,
dog. I would not like them in a train. I would not like them on a plane. I do not like them, Gollum. I am. No.
Again, I've eaten a lot of rabbit, but I've never eaten raw rabbit. No, thank you.
Is that rarebit? Is that? Sorry,
like Welsh rarebit.
Fun. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, look, I like my steaks rare, not raw, mind you, but rare. I can't imagine eating raw meat.
I mean, I've eaten raw meat.
Well, I mean, sushi. Okay, I get that. Sushi is different, but
yeah, I mean, sushi. Obviously, I've eaten carpaccio.
Oh yeah.
It's like really thinly sliced raw beef, but not rabbit.
No,
and
not
I would
rabbit.
not eat raw rabbit because it's gamey. You don't want that raw.
No, you got to cook that. You definitely got to cook that.
So,
oh boy, yeah.
Gollum has a fairly strong opinion on campfires.
Yes,
here.
He does, doesn't he?
Little Smokey the Bear bit here.
And Smokey the Gollum.
Smokey the Gollum.
Only hobbits can prevent forest fires.
Yeah. And he makes his opinion clear pretty quickly.
Oh, yes, he does.
It's a great response. Thin hissing shriek, anger and fear.
Oh, man.
Calls Sam silly hobbits, foolish. They mustn't do it. Frodo's like, who's they?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sleeping over here.
What are you talking about, they?
Right.
Sam actually seems genuinely surprised, doesn't he? I mean, normally I think he would just feign surprise, but here it seems genuinely, what do you mean? What shouldn't we do?
He does,
The nasty red tongues. Oh, I love that phrase for fire, by the way. The nasty red tongues.
That is really cool. And then just in case you're not sure, he then says the word fire. Like, he does know what it's really called. He's got a kind of an interesting way of he
always has these vivid descriptions, right? Yellow face and white
face. Exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah.
And he points out the why. Why shouldn't we do it? It burns, number one. It kills, number two. And it brings enemies, which really, that alone is a sufficient reason.
Yeah, but it also cooks raw rabbit and makes it edible.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
keeps you from starving
Gollum.
to death. Right. I win.
And Sam, I mean, basically, Sam doesn't care. He thinks the risk is minimal and he thinks it's worth it. And
that's key, isn't it? Right.
He's got some, he's got some mitigating factors here. It's like, look, as long as we don't put wet stuff on it and make a smother, basically make it smoke, we should be fine. And then secondly, the risk is worth it. We need to cook these rabbits. I'm going to stew these bad boys.
Cook the rabbits?
Oh my gosh. The response here.
The response is great.
You're going to what?
Goodness. You're going to do what now? If you think Gollum didn't like fire, wait till you see what he thinks of cooked meat.
Yeah, seriously. You brought up steak. I mean, this is my reaction when somebody says, I want my steak well done. I'm like, you're going to what?
You're going to do what? Yeah, exactly. You want shoe leather? I'm sorry. No, I will not. Fine.
You want this filet mignon well done?
I will make you a hamburger.
Okay.
I am not going to make you a steak well done. There is no
There's
such
a bag
thing.
of beef jerky in the fridge, sir.
Exactly.
You can have that.
I'll
save the steak for someone else.
I'll give this to somebody who gives a darn. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I will.
I'm almost not.
If I've got a guest in my house and I'm cooking steak, I will cook their steak however they want it. But I will look at that poor steak as it's burning and I'll just be like, oh.
You know how some restaurants, like you go to a restaurant and you want a burger and they say in the menu, cook to medium well or well. So they'll ask you, do you want it medium well or well?
Yeah.
And you're like, neither.
Neither.
Right. Less than that if you could. For
Can
me,
I
it's
pay
like,
for my drinks and go across the street to another restaurant, please?
Yeah. How do you want your steak? Rare or medium rare? Those are my choices.
Right.
Sorry, you don't get to order it medium well at this house.
All are welcome in my house, and I will cook a well done steak. But I'll usually try and like cheat a little bit, like kind of get it kind of
make it medium well.
And just like that'll probably work. Let's see if they like it. And I've never had a complaint.
That's right.
I am not going to give you shoe leather.
No, not going to make your own beef jerky on the on the grill. No, Gollum's reaction is total dismay, right?
Oh man,
this was beautiful meat that I'd saved for you. This was fantastic meat. I mean, this was winning meat. Yeah,
I would have eaten this myself. I am hungry. Yeah, I would have eaten this. And I guess he's got a point. They're not old and tough. They're young and tender. You don't need to cook them. I still beg to differ on the last point, but okay.
I definitely beg to differ there. Yeah.
But I guess he's got a point. If you're a raw rabbit connoisseur, this is how you're going to want them.
That's true.
And that's it. Look, just eat them. They're fine. Just go ahead and eat them. What's your problem, man?
What's your problem? Well, Sam explains his problem, not in the part you read. But I like this because Sam actually uses Gollum's own illustration, or Gollum's own, I should say, preferences to make his illustration. He reminds him, look, you've got your own eating preferences. You don't like lembas. You don't like this elven way bread. I don't like raw bunny rabbit. And
it's fair. It's
yeah. Oh, also on the other thing, you gave it to me, so now it's mine. So I want to cook it. Therefore I can. I love that, by the way. That's great. You gave it to me. It's mine now. No takesies backsies.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. That one, I'm kind of like, man, come on.
Yeah. If that was his only argument, it would have been a little weak, but I did like the whole, hey, you don't like lembas. I don't like my muddy rabbit rare.
Yeah, that is brilliant. And it's a really good point. And it really shows just the vast difference between these two.
It does, doesn't it?
And in a way, it shows just how far gone Gollum is because, he he once was a hobbit himself. He
That's
probably
right.
would have cooked his rabbits once upon a time, but he's just been living as this wretch for so long that he just, it's the whole concept is alien to him now.
It really is, yeah. Well, I mean, 500 years under the mountain, he's probably, still hasn't been able to get Best Buy to deliver that oven.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I mean,
And I bet
really.
he's not as good at just digging out a pit and just,
No.
making a little turf pit, turves,
Turves.
cooking in
Love
the turves.
that word. I love that word, turves.
It's a great word.
It is.
But Sam says, look, this is your way. This is my way. If you want them raw, you go catch another and eat it yourself.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that.
And then there's this little aside. And by the way, if you're going to do that, do it far away from me, which is a win-win. You don't have to see me. I don't have to see you.
We're both happier that way. I love that.
Yep.
That's good stuff.
I love this part of the
man.
chapter, man. This is so much fun.
It's so fun. I mean, I know not a lot is actually happening. I mean, really, this is all surrounding the cooking of a meal, this entire episode. And it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So much fun.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and continue on with the reading, and we'll pick up another couple of paragraphs on after Sam has expanded his grocery list a little bit.
Yes, he has, hasn't he? Gollum, he called softly. Third time pays for all. I want some herbs. Gollum's head peeped out of the fern, but his looks were neither helpful nor friendly. A few bay leaves, some thyme and sage will do, before the water boils, said Sam.
No,
said Gollum.
Smeagol is not pleased. And Smeagol doesn't like smelly leaves. He doesn't eat grasses or roots, no, precious. Not till he's starving or very sick, poor Smeagol.
Smeagol will get into real true hot water when this water boils if you don't do as he's asked, growled Sam. Sam will put his head in it, yes, precious. And I'd make him look for turnips and carrots, and taters, too, if it was the time of the year. I'll bet there's all sorts of good things running wild in this country. I'd give a lot for half a dozen taters.
Smeagol won't go. Oh, no, precious, not this time,
hissed Gollum.
He's frightened, and he's very tired, and this hobbit's not nice at all. Smeagol won't grub for roots and carrots and taters. What's taters, precious, eh? What's taters?
Potatoes, said Sam. The gaffer's delight, and rare good ballast for an empty belly. But you won't find any, so you needn't look. But be good, Smeagol, and fetch me the herbs, and I'll think better of you. What's more, if you turn over a new leaf and keep it turned, I'll cook you some taters one of these days. I will. Fried fish and chips, served by S. Gamgee. You couldn't say no to that. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I think he can. Yeah.
He probably can. So, yeah, going back to before the passage you read, we get Gollum grumbling, crawling away, angry about this beautiful meat being ruined. And Sam starts talking to himself while getting ready and thinking, what is one going to serve with some stewed rabbits? Okay, well, some herbs, some roots, and most especially taters.
Taters. He also says bread would be nice too, but he does point out, look, we can get the herbs around here. Certainly can't get any bread, and I'm not even sure about the root vegetables.
No, that's true. But he calls out for Gollum, gives him yet another task, like, hey, go back to the supermarket for me, get me some herbs.
Yeah, seriously. Didn't get everything on the list.
No. And I noticed there's another reference to that saying third time pays for all, right?
That's right, yeah.
We just recently talked about this in episode 234, but it was a slightly different
time
form
throw
of it.
us what how
Yeah.
Thrid time
Thrid team through a best.
Through
Middle
a
English.
Yeah.
Yeah, but third time pays for all is actually the same form of the phrase that was used by Bilbo in The Hobbit all the way back in episode 78 for us. And we talked about
that was a while ago.
Yep.
My goodness. So Gollum pops back in, at least just his head does, through the bushes there. But he looks none too pleased while Sam gives him this grocery list, right? I want some bay leaves, I want some thyme, I want some sage. Oh, and I want it quickly.
This is like when my guest asks me to cook their steak well done and put steak sauce on it, and they want me to go to the grocery store to get the steak sauce.
No!
So it's like, here, I want to ruin this meat, and I want you to go get the stuff for me to ruin it.
It will help me ruin it, yeah.
Yeah.
It will help me choke down this meat that you're going to ruin for me.
Right, exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
And at this point, Gollum's like no longer cooperative. Smeagol is not
No,
pleased.
he's done. He's absolutely Smeagol's
We are not amused.
We are not amused. I love that. Yeah.
And he says, look, I don't like herbs, smelly
No.
leaves. I love that. I don't like smelly leaves.
What other way would you describe them, right? I mean, yellow face, white face,
Right.
smelly leaves. Yeah.
The red tongues, smelly leaves.
Yeah.
And he tells us, like, I don't eat grasses or roots. Like, basically, he's basically like Betty White. He doesn't eat anything green. Remember? Remember Betty saying that? Right?
I do.
Shortly before she passed away a few weeks ago. I avoid eating anything green.
Oh, I love that.
All hot dogs and French fries for Betty.
Yeah, not a big ear to salad bar, I would imagine, Gollum.
No, I'm sure.
No.
She did cook her meat, at least.
Oh, thank goodness. Probably not well done with A1 steak sauce either. Oh,
Probably
I've just lost
not.
them as a sponsor. All right. So Sam goes from request to threaten, by the way. I mean, he doesn't go from like request to slightly more strongly worded request. He goes straight up to, I'm going to put your head in the boiling water.
I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to absolutely torture you to death. Yeah.
Okay. This is probably hyperbole.
Yeah,
but
I think it is. It's fair to say it probably
But
is.
again, like, we see this a lot. Sam is he's just not kind to Gollum at all.
No, not at all.
He's kind of his worst. We see his worst self
really
sometimes
is.
when he's talking
Right.
to Gollum, and this is one example of that, I think. It's like, this isn't really necessary.
No, it's just over the top. You don't need to go there.
Yeah.
And he even says, look, you're lucky I don't send you out for even more. If it was the right time of year, you'd be looking for more than herbs. You'd be looking for root vegetables like turnips and carrots and taters. Well, especially taters.
Yeah, and Gollum is not just not pleased at this point.
No.
He's afraid. So,
yeah,
well done, Sam.
Kudos, Sam. Yeah, you've gotten your job done. Right.
Great. And he's tired, and Sam's not asking nicely like he did before.
No, he certainly not begs. Yeah.
Right. And also, Gollum's like, I don't even know what some of this stuff on the list is.
I
what
know,
are taters,
seriously.
man?
Where
I
am
don't
I
even
going to get this?
What aisle is this in? I don't know.
This grocery store doesn't have this, and I don't have the time to go to Trader Joe's.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what are taters?
What are taters? Oh,
Then we get the wonderful, wonderful line.
Sam's iconic line, right? Potatoes.
Yep.
Now, as many have observed, and I think we've mentioned it before as well, potatoes, like tomatoes and tobacco, are New World plants that are not native to a Middle Earth based on Europe. But
True.
This isn't the first time that we think we've seen potatoes, even if they weren't mentioned by name. I'm going to take us back to the Children of Hurin. We read about the petty dwarf Mime bringing a sack of wild roots to Turin and the bandits on Amon Ruth. And here is what we read about those roots. But when they were washed, the roots proved white and fleshy with their skins, and when boiled, they were good to eat, somewhat like bread.
That's right. The earth bread, they call it,
Earth
don't
bread,
they?
he called it. That's
And
right.
It sure sounds like potatoes to me.
Yeah, it sounds very much like russet potatoes right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, as Flora of Middle-earth points out, there's actually a very good reason for Tolkien to avoid using the name potato more than he has to.
Mhm.
Just like the plant itself, the word potato is actually a New World import. Judd and
of course.
Judd point out that the name potato is actually derived from an Arawakan language. That's the languages of the indigenous peoples of South America and the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
And so there really should be no reason for a Middle Earth
No.
based on Europe to have a word like potato in it. And they say Tolkien was aware of this problem. And perhaps this is one reason that the word taters instead of potatoes is the most frequently used for this important starchy vegetable.
That makes sense, because this is the only occurrence, I believe, of potato as opposed to taters.
Is it, or is it? Well, there's also the cabbages and potatoes bit.
That's
earlier from
right.
the Gaffer,
Yep,
wasn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
We know that the Gaffer loves his potatoes, right? Sam says that potatoes are not only very satisfying and filling, but they're the Gaffer's delight, which is also my favorite song by Sugar Hill Gang.
The Underhill Gang, you mean?
Yeah, the Underhill Gang. There you go. I said, toe, a tater to the tater to the toe. You don't go.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Sean. I love it.
I will stop there with apologies to everyone.
Well, only because the song's like 18 minutes long. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I can do the whole thing. I don't know.
No, I don't
words.
think you can. It's like a short novel. Yeah. I did, by the way, confirm that it's not the only time we see potato. We see it 3 times in A Long Expected Party. We learn that, of course, the Gaffer is an expert on matter of roots, especially potatoes.
Right.
And then also when gifts were being given away, old Gaffer Gamgee got 2 sacks of potatoes, a new spade, a woolen waistcoat, and a bottle of ointment. Because
There you go.
apparently you need to give old people medicine.
When they're carrying around sacks of potatoes, I guess you do.
Well, apparently so. And then, of course, the cabbages and potatoes are better for me and you. That's also in that same chapter.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. But you're right. Taters is used a lot more often.
It is used a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Much
the
like
Judds are
pipeweed
right.
instead of tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we do get a reference to tobacco, don't we?
We do.
I mean, I know we get nicotinia or whatever it is in the
letters, but I mean, we get tobacco in The Hobbit, but there is also
the tobacco of the South Farthing, and in Flotsam and Jetsam, he produced a small leather bag full of tobacco.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, which is how we know once again that it's tobacco. Just to be clear,
right.
All right, well, sidetrack.
So Sam explains. No, it's a good one. I mean, anytime we get these New World plants, obviously this is one of those things that happens when you're trying to import hobbits, which are this sort of, Victorian style culture, into this medieval culture. It doesn't really quite make a lot of sense.
Some things don't go.
Yeah, exactly. Tolkien kind of has to make it fit. And one of the ways he does that is by changing some of the names.
Yep, absolutely.
But after explaining what taters are, Sam says, well, they're good, but this isn't the season for them, so don't go looking for them.
Right. There's no point. Yeah.
And then he changes gear and he says, look, if you'll go find the herbs, I'll think better of you.
Yeah. And if you turn over a new leaf and keep it turned, well, guess what? I'm going to make you homemade fish and chips. Now, Gollum may not want that. We see that he really doesn't, scorching the fish. But it sounds good to me. I like it.
It sounds delicious to me, too. And
I'd love a good serving of fish and chips right now.
I would. I'm a big fan of raw fish, too. Don't get me wrong. But
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Fish and chips is really good.
Now, I may be reaching here, but this kind of feels, this fish and chips idea, feels a little anachronistic. Like, does it fit in this time frame?
Like fish and chips. Like, you can't really imagine fish and chip shops.
They're not, exactly. Right? Like, they're not going to get to Gondor or to Pelargir, for instance, and find that, there's a fish and chips shop, on every corner.
Where they wrap it up in a newspaper and everything. Probably not.
No, probably not.
I mean, I know, like, deep frying has been around for thousands of years, but fish and chips... I'm pretty sure that's a later invention, right? Like,
well, I don't know about the history of the dish itself, but in terms of its history in England, it appears to have not shown up there until 1860s. I think I'm seeing here saying that the first fish and chip shop was in 1863. Okay, so it is a little anachronistic in that sense, but again, who knows? Maybe the hobbits invented deep fat frying. I mean, why not? As a technology, has certainly been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's a bit anachronistic. Another one of those things that probably doesn't quite fit with the medieval.
I don't mind, though. It makes me just want fish and chips.
No, not at all.
Though. Yeah.
Happy to have it for sure.
Oh, man, you're not kidding. Some good fish and chips. I haven't had any since I went to Oxenmoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have it.
Can't get good ones around here.
I'll have it occasionally at places here. There's a couple places that try to do it, but no, you can't get it like in England or Australia.
So then Sam finally dismisses Gollum. Clearly you're not going to do this for me. So just, go to sleep. I love it. Yep. You're hopeless. Go to sleep. And I'm going to have you skip the next paragraph and pick up after that.
Okay. When he thought all was ready, he lifted the pans off the fire and crept along to Frodo. Frodo half opened his eyes as Sam stood over him, and then he wakened from his dreaming, another gentle, unrecoverable dream of peace. "Hello, Sam," he said. "Not resting? Is anything wrong? What is the time?" "About a couple of hours after daybreak," said Sam, "and nigh on 8:30 by Shire clocks, maybe. But nothing's wrong, though it ain't quite what I'd call right. No stock, no onions, no taters. I got a bit of a stew for you, and some broth, Mr. Frodo. Do you good. You'll have to sup it in your mug, or straight from the pan when it's cooled a bit. I haven't brought no bowls nor nothing proper." Frodo yawned and stretched. "You should have been resting, Sam," he said, "and lighting a fire was dangerous in these parts. But I do feel hungry. Can I smell it from here? What have you stewed?" "A present from Smeagol," said Sam. "A brace of young conies, though I fancy Gollum's regretting them now. But there's naught to go with them but a few herbs." Sam and his master sat just within the fern brake and ate their stew from the pans, sharing the old fork and spoon. They allowed themselves half a piece of the elvish waybread each. It seemed a feast.
It seemed a feast. I love this.
I bet it did.
So going back to the part that we had you skip, Sam eventually has to find the herbs himself, but fortunately he does find them all within visual range of the sleeping Frodo.
Yeah. So he's able to keep an eye on him. And then the cooking properly begins. He's tending the fire. He's got the water boiling. Day comes along, and then we see the rabbits simmering along with the herbs. Herbs. I still say herbs. Sorry, folks.
Well, when Sam says it, we say herbs because that's how Sam would say it. But we're Americans,
but I say herbs.
So
yes.
Please forgive us for that if you must.
Yep. And so Sam lets them stew for about an hour.
You mean an hour?
Exactly. That's why I don't say herbs. Darn it. It's not a hour. It's not a herb.
No, that's exactly right.
Hour herb. No, but he's, checking the doneness, tasting the broth, as you do when you're cooking, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then he wakes Frodo up, who, I love this, and this is the line we were referring to earlier, was having a gentle, unrecoverable dream of peace.
Now, this is one of those lines where, if you know the Silmarillion, it just enriches your reading so much, because to me, what I get from this is, I'm thinking of the Valar. It seems to me that Lorien, right? The original Lorien, Irmo.
Yeah.
He's sending what Frodo needs on this journey. He's sending them those dreams of peace that are giving him that rest. He needs that rest. We talked about this. There's no other way for him
to. It's the only way for him to have a recovery. Yeah.
Get a break from his burden. And he's getting that. I love that.
Yeah. And like we talked about earlier, the only place he can find that peace is in his dreams, given his proximity to Mordor and the burden that he's carrying. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, man, how much sadder is it then that he has to wake up,
Oh, yeah.
And return to the real world. But, he's seems to wake up quickly. He's a bit surprised that Sam isn't resting, wonders what time it is. Yeah, Sam says it's about 8:30 in the morning. And look, there's nothing wrong, but, not exactly right?
Exactly. He says it's wrong that there aren't any taters or stock or onions. I actually think he's perfectly okay to not have any onions. That's just my opinion.
You don't like onions either?
Man, I am going to get so much grief. No, I don't like onions.
Do you like garlic?
Onions, yeah, I like garlic. I don't like too much garlic, especially if it's the actual cloves. Like I like it roasted. I like roasted garlic, and I like the garlic flavoring and things, But but onions, I don't know what it is about onions in particular.
Huh.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, to each his own.
I know. Yep,
I'm not going to give you grief.
Sure.
Listeners might, but I'm not going to.
No, you're not going to give me grief. You don't like onions either?
No, it was a question. It was a question.
I know.
That's all.
I'm giving you a hard time. It's all right.
But yeah, no, don't have any stuff to make a proper stew. But hey, got a stew here, and he presents it to Frodo.
Yeah.
Sam is so sweet here.
I know, isn't he?
It's like he's done something pretty amazing. He has made a stew.
He really has.
In, the middle of the wild. And he's apologizing for the lack of seasoning, for the lack of dishes,
Yeah. Well, Frodo's going to ding him some points because presentation's off. And because we have to share a couple of sporks. Yeah, he's apologizing for the lack of silverware, the lack of side dishes, the lack of drinks. You don't have a salad fork. You don't have, a butter knife, Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, come on. Frodo is doing a whole lot better than Aragorn would be doing if Eowyn made some stew.
The movie stew. Yeah. Yeah. That was terrible. Yeah.
That was awful looking. Someday I need to find out exactly what they used for that prop, because
I don't know that I want to know what they used for that prop. It was pretty disgusting looking. It really was.
Yeah.
I found it interesting though. Frodo repeated Gollum's concern about the fire. Like maybe Sam. Maybe
that was kind of dangerous.
Wasn't a great idea. I don't know.
Yeah. But then he, expresses his concern about, look, Sam, you should have rested. But then he says, "But I am hungry," and then he asks what's cooking. He smells it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sam, kind of explains to him, like, gives Gollum credit for finding a brace of conies, a pair of conies.
Yep.
But, I think Gollum's probably regretting it now since I'm actually cooking the rabbits.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he would have only given me one of them and kept one for himself.
Right, exactly. He would have kept one of them for himself.
But then I love this. They eat together, straight from the pans, sharing utensils. I mean, this is what friends do at a campfire, Needs must. They do have a little lembas to go with it, and we get that line about how it seemed a feast.
I love that. Yeah.
And I think it's the combination of the hominess
Mm-hmm.
of the stew and the sort of magia, really, of the lembas. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. It seemed a feast.
Yeah. And I think also just the camaraderie,
Oh yeah.
of just, being with your good friend, being
Mhm.
comfortable sharing utensils. You're
Yeah.
just making do. But they just haven't had this kind of comfort for a while.
No.
And it's a great moment.
And I wonder if there's a little of comfort of both, right? There's the comfort of home with the rabbit stew, and then
Mhm.
there's the comfort of Lothlorien with the lembas.
Oh,
You know,
I can buy that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
just a little bit
Yeah,
extra. They kind of enhance the other. Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So then Sam calls out for Gollum, right? He wants to offer him some. Not that he seriously expects him to take him up on the offer, but he is doing the right thing. Not surprisingly, there's no response.
He is doing the right thing. I got to ask, do you think this is Sam's way of like making a peace offering? Because, he's treated Gollum pretty
Yeah.
badly, barking orders at him, threatening to boil his head and stuff like that. I mean,
Threatening to boil his head. That's right up there, isn't it? Yeah.
that's up there. That's a little worse than barking orders. But,
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, is
I
this like a
don't
peace
know.
offering?
Peace offering. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think
It's a pretty safe one because he knows Gollum's not going to take him up on
That's
it,
the
right?
thing. He knows the answer is going to be no.
Yeah.
But he doesn't make it sarcastic like I'd expect. He doesn't say, there's some left if you have the guts to try it, you cowardly sniveling worm.
I know you love this. Come eat it. Yeah, it's not like that. It's just
Come
like,
eat
hey, you're
this
still
hot,
trying to change your mind.
smoky meat. Right. Yeah. He's not trying to do anything nasty here. I don't know. I mean, I think at first, I have to admit, I initially thought I'm really being cynical now, like his way of showing Frodo that he's a decent guy, but that's just not Sam. Sam's not somebody who is duplicitous.
No,
so
I don't think so.
I think this is genuinely an attempt to sort of, bring Gollum back into the circle, if you will.
I think so. Maybe it's just like, hey, this is a good moment, and even Gollum is worthy of this. And
I think so
he
too.
probably won't take him up on it, but the fact that Sam offers, I think it's kind of a redemptive moment for Sam. That's good.
I think so, because he doesn't even say anything bad about it when there's no answer, right? Oh well, I suppose he's gone off to find something for himself.
Yeah,
he doesn't comment. Oh, he's gone off to dig for worms or some other. He's not being snide here at all.
Yeah, that's true. And then Frodo tells Sam, this is after the part that I read there, but Frodo tells Sam that, you really have to get some sleep once we're done with eating this.
Yes, you do. Uh-huh.
And Sam has some things to say about that.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
He's concerned. Not only is there still plenty of Stinker or Gollum in their companion there, but that part of him is getting stronger, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's only going to get stronger. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not happy with Sam.
Not pleased with Sam. Oh, no, precious. Not at all. Absolutely. Oh, man.
Well, that is going to take us to our last reading of the episode, which you're going to pick up about midway through the next paragraph.
Yeah, when Sam realizes, well, maybe not his mistake, but he could have done things a little better. Yeah.
This is a swallow your pride moment. Like
this is.
Oops.
Yeah. Then he noticed a thin spiral of blue-gray smoke, plain to see as it caught the sunlight, rising from a thicket above him. With a shock, he realized that this was the smoke from his little cooking fire, which he had neglected to put out. That won't do. Never thought it would show like that, he muttered, and he started to hurry back. Suddenly he halted and listened. Had he heard a whistle or not? Or was it the call of some strange bird? If it was a whistle, it did not come from Frodo's direction. There it went again from another place. Sam began to run as well as he could uphill. He found that a small brand, burning away to its outer end, had kindled some fern at the edge of the fire, and the fern, blazing up, had set the turves smoldering. Hastily, he stamped out what was left of the fire, scattered the ashes, and laid the turves on the hole. Then he crept back to Frodo. "Did you hear a whistle? And what sounded like an answer?" he asked. "A few minutes back. I hope it was only a bird, but it didn't sound quite like that. More like somebody mimicking a bird call, I thought, and I'm afraid my bit of fire's been smoking. Now, if I've gone and brought trouble, I'll never forgive myself, nor won't have a chance, maybe." "Hush," whispered Frodo. "I thought I heard voices." Aha.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, right before you started reading, we saw Sam go off to the stream to go wash the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Good man. He does the cooking and the cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he looks back and he sees, oh boy,
Oh
a
boy.
thin wisp of smoke that he
Oh, no.
realizes, no doubt with a sinking feeling, oh my gosh, that's coming from my cooking fire.
Yeah, this is bad
And
news.
and you never want to have to admit that Gollum was right, man.
No. It's one thing to say Frodo was right. It's another thing to say Gollum was right.
Yeah. Oh, Gollum told me so. Whoops.
Yeah. He's hurrying back now, right? I mean, he's like, oh
Mhm.
man, I've got to solve this problem. And he notices that whistle or bird call, and then it's
Yes.
coming from another place. So he's absolutely racing back as hard as he can.
Mhm.
And that's when he discovers the cause of the smoke. The turves, right, the sod around the edge of the fire, the turves are smoldering because of the way that fern had kind of lit up. Yeah.
Right. So he does what he has to do. He stamps out
Yeah.
what's left of the fire, scatters the ashes, and then uses the sod to cover up the hole.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to Frodo and asks if he'd heard that whistle call. Did you hear that? It sounded like there was a whistle call and an answer.
Which is always terrifying.
Yeah.
Sam confesses, of course, that, he's afraid his fire has caused smoke that's been seen. And I'm never going to be able to forgive myself.
And Frodo says what we'd all say, shut up, Sam. I'm trying
Just
to listen here.
Be quiet. I think I hear people talking.
I thought I heard voices.
Yeah. Well, those
And-
voices that Frodo thought he heard, they're just Barnaman talking to himself as he brings us the mail.
That does happen.
Son.
His bird call is
Yeah.
getting better, too.
It is. That's true. What do we have tonight?
All right. Well, this first one we've had in the bag for quite some time, actually. Tara D. in Maryland, thank you for being patient, Tara, asks, was Gollum literate? Was he literate enough to be able to read the inscription on the ring, given that it was in black speech, written in Elvish Tingwar characters? When he swore on the precious in The Taming of Smeagol, and Frodo warned him to think, and recited a bit of One Ring to Rule Them All, did Gollum realize that those were the words on the ring? That's a really good question. And Alan, we talked about this moment back in episode 228. We never actually questioned whether Gollum knew the line of the ring verse Frodo was quoting from. It didn't even come up in our discussion, which I'm kind of sorry we missed
I
that.
am a little surprised as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But a little speculation time. What do you got on this one?
Well, it's an interesting question. If we go back to Smeagol's youth, told to us by Gandalf in The Shadow of the Past, we do read that he came from a family of high repute, for it was large and wealthier than most, and it was ruled by a grandmother of the folk, stern and wise in old lore, such as they had. So, okay, they were wealthy and wise. If anybody in this little group of hobbit kind would have been literate, it almost certainly would have been this grandmother.
Sure.
But the lines such as they had suggests to me there wasn't a lot of lore to begin with, and there's certainly no evidence that it was written lore. These would be just, histories, oral histories and tales.
Yeah.
Then there's the fact that Smeagol was described as being curious, right? Interested in roots and beginnings. Now, to me, if you say that somebody these days is interested in roots and beginnings, I'm going to think they're interested in history, ancient history, sure, or maybe even in science, how things come to be. But he doesn't address this interest by going to a library or studying. Smeagol dives into pools and burrows under trees and tunnels into mounds. So
he's doing field research.
Exactly. And he's not writing any of his findings down. So to me, this background, the fact that, we read about such little lore, such as they had, and the fact that he didn't go to a library to learn about things, that suggests to me Smeagol was probably not literate. I would imagine really his entire clan was probably not literate. But even if he were literate in Westron, it seems to be, at least to my mind, virtually impossible for him to have known about the inscription on the ring. Not only would he need to be able to read the Elvish script, which is one big step, but he'd also have to know the black speech in which the line was written. And then there's this thing as well. He'd have to have been willing to expose the ring to fire in order to see those letters in the first place. And there is simply no way Gollum lets that happen. I mean, what happened when Gandalf threw the ring into the fireplace, right? Frodo gave a cry and groped for the tongs, but Gandalf held him back.
Right.
Then there's Isildur, right? Gandalf reads that scroll at the Council of Elrond after Isildur saw the script on the ring, which, by the way, I'll note he couldn't read either. He knew it was in Elvish script, but he couldn't read the black speech. So I'm not sure that Smeagol's going to be reading anything that Isildur couldn't. But Isildur notes that the writing has faded and then says, maybe were the gold made hot again, the writing would be refreshed. But for my part, I will risk no hurt to this thing. Of all the works of Sauron, the only fair. So there is no way that I can see Gollum, A, being willing to subject the ring to the fire, B, being able to read the Tengwar, and C, knowing the Black speech enough to be able to decipher it. Sean?
Yeah. No, I think those are all fair points. Yeah, you've pretty well answered the question, honestly.
I kind of beat that into the ground, frankly. But yeah.
I don't disagree with you. Shocking. I had a slightly different take on it, or rather kind of got to it in a different way. What I noticed was just kind of going back to the text of The Taming of Smeagol, where Frodo cites the verse to Gollum.
Yeah.
We see Gollum offer to swear on the precious. And then after that, Frodo says, "On the precious? How dare you?" he said. "Think, one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. Would you commit your promise to that, Smeagol? It will hold you. But it is more treacherous than you are. It may twist your words. Beware."
Yeah.
Okay, all well and good. But then after that, Gollum just simply cowers, and he repeats again, "On the precious, on the precious." There is nothing in the text at all to suggest that Gollum actually recognizes the line, "One ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them."
Right.
Nothing to suggest that he knows it's a line from poetry from ancient lore. Nothing to suggest that he knows it's actually inscribed on the ring.
No.
And given that even Frodo couldn't read the inscription, and he was educated by Bilbo,
right?
I agree. It's extremely unlikely, as you say, that Gollum could have read the Black speech in Tengwar on the ring, even if he were literate in Westron. And yeah, as you just kind of said, beating it into the ground in the best way possible, there is also the matter of needing to throw the ring into the fire to make the letters appear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see any reason to believe that he even knows that's a line of poetry, or that he would have any reason to believe that that's on the ring. Now, is it possible that Gollum might have heard those words when he was in Mordor?
That's fair.
Maybe. Yeah. And if he did have any idea that Frodo was quoting poetry to him, it's probably something he heard in Mordor rather than reading it on the ring.
Probably on open mic night at Barad-dûr.
Sauron gets up there. King Excellent gets up there. Is like, "I'm going to do one of my classics here."
Yeah. He's starting to do it a little beatnik, though, right? He's
got like the bongos and everything. One ring to rule them all. Yeah.
One ring. Boom, 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 boom.
To find them. It's all a pretty big if, right? I mean, there's just really nothing in the text to make us think that he heard those words in Mordor or had ever heard those words before. No. If I'm a betting man, and to be fair, I'm not, but if
I was going to ask you, does that mean you are? No?
I am not. But I would bet that Gollum did not realize those were the words on the ring, never heard him before. But he was intimately acquainted with the ring, enough so that when he heard those words, he had to have recognized their meaning, and he certainly would have seen the truth of them, even if he didn't know the specific reference.
That's right. So you're saying that the words of that verse would ring true for Gollum?
No, I'm not saying that, because I'm better than that.
Fair.
But
fair.
Fine.
Oh, man.
All right, man. Do we have time for one more?
Well, not if you take that attitude, Sean.
All right,
fine.
Please.
We have one from Diego V. As we've just celebrated the professor's birthday, it's January 3rd, it's worth noting that it would have been Tolkien's 130th birthday, which would have equaled the old Took, who lived to be 130 himself. Now, in light of that, Diego asks, given that Bilbo is the only one to pass over the old Took's age, he was 131 when he sailed into the West, and that the old Took was a good friend of Gandalf's, isn't it possible that the reason for his advanced age, talking about the old Took, had something to do with this friendship with Gandalf? Maybe he went on some adventure and found some device or ring or whatever that made him live longer or something like that. Sean, what do you think?
I mean, it's a nice idea.
Oh, sure.
I love the idea that the old Took might have found something. Maybe not a ring of power. That wouldn't.
Oh, that would be a terrible thing to find.
That wouldn't have gone well. But no, it's a neat idea that maybe he found something when he was on some adventure with Gandalf. Unfortunately, there's really nothing in the text to suggest that he did.
No.
There's no mention of any kind of device that, might have extended his life the way Bilbo did, or even anything peculiar that might have done so,
I don't know. Maybe that pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came undone until ordered.
Well,
that's maybe about the only thing I could think of.
Maybe.
No, they don't come undone until ordered, and they give you eternal life. They're really cool that way. Yeah.
You would think that would be one of the selling points, though.
I think so, yeah.
the jeweler's going to tell you that when he tries to sell
Feature,
them.
advantage, benefit. That's how you sell things, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, maybe we don't know everything about it,
Well, no.
but I do think it's a highly unlikely situation.
I agree.
And I also think it's worth noting that while 130 years was a very impressive age for a hobbit to live to, it wasn't quite as rare as we might think for a hobbit to live nearly that long. Actually, there's not just Bilbo and the Old Took. Tolkien also offers us a third example of an exceptionally long-lived hobbit. This is in letter number 214 to a reader named A.C. Nunn. It was actually a draft prepared to this reader. And the hobbit in question was a Lalia or Lalia. I'm not sure. Probably Lalia. That sounds a little better. Lalia Took, who was actually alive during the events of Lord of the Rings. Here's what Tolkien says about Miss Lalia Took. A well-known case, also, was that of Lalia the Great, or less courteously, the Fat.
Much less courteously.
Much less courteously. Fortinbras II, one-time head of the Tooks and Thane, married Lalia of the Clayhangers in 1314, when he was 36 and she was 31. He died in 1380 at the age of 102, but she long outlived him, coming to an unfortunate end in 1402 at the age of 119. So she ruled the Tooks and the Great Smiles for 22 years, a great and memorable, if not universally beloved, matriarch. And he actually puts matriarch in quotation marks.
Air quotes. A matriarch. Yeah.
She was not at the famous party, Shire year 1401, but was prevented from attending rather by her great size and immobility than by her age.
Oh my goodness, that's not much better. I'd rather be prevented from attending by my age, frankly. All right.
I know. Her son, Ferimbras, had no wife, being unable, it was alleged, to find anyone willing to occupy apartments in the Great Smiles under the rule of Lalia.
Wow.
No, I'm not marrying you because I don't want to live with your mother.
Which is a valid reason, I must
That's
say.
That's a perfectly valid point.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I'm with the girlfriend on this one. Lalia, in her last and fattest years, had the custom of being wheeled to the great door to take the air on a fine morning. It gets better. In the spring of Shire year 1402, her clumsy attendant let the heavy chair run over the threshold and tipped Lalia down the flight of steps into the garden. So ended a reign and life that might well have rivaled that of the Great Took.
How have I missed this letter? This is phenomenal.
Isn't that amazing?
That is phenomenal. Oh my goodness. So had she not been dropped down a flight of stairs by her attendant, who, by the way, has refused all comment and referred us to his lawyer, Lalia might have lived as long as old Gerontius or Bilbo.
She might have.
That is amazing.
Might have. It certainly seems she might have.
What a character, too. Oh my
Such
goodness.
a great character. Doesn't appear in the book at all. This is just from the letters.
The female version of that guy from Monty Python's Meaning of Life.
Oh, Mr. Creosote.
Throw up.
Yeah, Mr. Creosote, man. Yeah.
How do you feel, son?
Yeah.
Better get a bucket. Throw up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
So,
all in the letter. That is just
all
brilliant.
In letter number 214. And it's a draft letter. He didn't even send it.
No. I
Wonderful.
love that.
Thank you, Humphrey Carpenter.
Absolutely love that. That's
Thank you so much.
Stuff, man.
Yeah, it certainly seems that Lalia might have lived as long as the Old Took or Bilbo. Yeah. And there's absolutely no reason to believe that she had a magic item or anything like that would have extended her life.
She might have eaten the magic item.
Yeah, you know. I mean,
a stick of butter looks magic to me.
If don't eat anything green is good enough to keep Betty White going almost 100, you know?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, rest in peace, man. Betty. But
seriously.
No, I mean, I think apparently some hobbits are just lucky enough to live a really, really long time.
That's fair.
And I would also point out, as we saw at the beginning of that passage that I read, Lalia actually married into the Took family. She was not a Took by birth. So
yeah, you're right.
Don't go assuming that, longevity is some kind of Took family trait.
It's fair.
Just a hobbit thing.
Yeah. So if hot dogs and French fries are good enough to keep our favorite golden girl going to almost 100, then I guess bacon and potatoes can keep Lalia or any hobbit alive for even longer.
Works for me, man.
I'm okay with that, man.
Yeah.
I'm bacon and potatoes. That's a weakness right there. Happy to
sounds like a great way to live.
Seriously. Well, folks, that does wrap it up for another episode of the Prancing Pony Podcast. But please be sure to join us again next week when we meet my favorite character in the Legendarium.
Oh, that's right, folks. Next time we finally meet the dead Southron.
Oh, too soon, man.
All right, no. We all know who you're talking about. That other guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? The future Mr. Eowyn.
Fine, if that's how you want
Guess
to put
he's
it.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we want to take a moment to thank the team that helps make this show better. Our research assistants, along with our Barlowman, Becca Davis, producer Jordan Rennells, social media manager Casey Hilsey, event and Patreon community coordinator Katie McKenna, and website guru Phil Dean.
Now, speaking of the website, please be sure to give us a visit there at theprancingponypodcast.com. We've got show notes, hilarious outtakes, Prancing Pony ponderings, and our online storefront where you can get all sorts of PPP merch.
And definitely check out our library page. You know we love the books here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, and we have provided links for you to get nearly every book we mentioned on the show. And we do get a few pennies from the purchases you make there, so thank you.
And now we want to thank some more really important people, our patrons at the Kierdance contribution tier. I'm going to start tonight with DeMay in Alaska, James in Virginia, Tamsin in Minnesota, Chad in Texas, Lance in New Jersey, Paul in Colorado, Jerry in Texas, Bruce in California, Mario in Utah, Seth in Texas, B in California, Joseph in Texas, and Kathy from North Carolina.
And then we have Lori from Washington, Carlos in California, Brian from the UK, Ned from Connecticut, Jerry from Washington, Joe in Washington, Erwin from the Netherlands, Hal from Washington, D.C., Lise in Switzerland, and Dylan in Australia. Thank you all so very much for your support, and please be sure you don't miss any episodes of the Prancing Pony Podcast. Subscribe to the show through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, whatever it is.
And one last thing as always, don't forget to send your thoughts, comments, and most of all, your recipes for stewing rabbits by a campfire to Barliman at theprancingponypodcast.com. And if you want a chance to have your actual voice heard, you can send us audio of you asking your question by visiting podinbox.com/prancingponypod and record your question for us.
Just make sure to still send the question to Barliman if you don't mind. And Barliman's a whole lot more reliable lately, but we do get a lot of mail. So we will get to you as soon as we can. And hey, your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
As always, though, this has been far too short a time to spend amongst such excellent and admirable listeners. But until next time,
Farewell, friends.